Howdy, folks. Welcome to Wish We Were Then. This is the show that has been doomed to repeat history so that you may learn from it. That's correct. Me and my good pal Mark here go back in time to a year and tell you, hey, what was happening back then? What do you think was going on? What do you think? Huh? You think you know it so well? Look, you looked at the episode title and you said, I already know everything these guys are going to say. None of this is going to surprise me. I remember this year like the back of my hand. Well, guess what? You may be right. You may be wrong. We'll have to wait and see.
You're full of shit. Because I thought so too, and then you look into it and you don't. You don't know anything.
You don't know Jack.
That's why we're here.
My name is Trey, by the way. I said Mark's name. I forgot to say my own. I typically neglect to say my own name at the top and then remember a minute later. Just something I've noticed.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, I mean, we already mentioned it. Let's just get into it. A big, emphatic congratulations are in order. That's right. A huge milestone has been accomplished by our very own Mark. Let's hear it for him, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And throw my cap.
That's right. I remember the first day of school when Mark blew into town, little hayseed from the sticks that he was. I took one look at him and I said, this place is going to eat him alive. Little did I know he would go on to become the king of the fucking school, captain of the varsity shuffleboard team, elected prom king and queen the same year, the only person to pass the Kobayashi Maru, and he graduated magna cum laude. Let's hear it for Mark, ladies and gentlemen. He just graduated. Woo! Oh, shit. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the year 2011, the year Mark made contact with the world as an adult.
Setting foot off that campus into reality. And here we are.
Yeah, and the world was shocking and scary. I remember you took a step into the street and a taxi almost hit you, and they said, "Get out of the way, bub." And you said, "Oh, well, the world's a lot scarier than I thought." I had graduated the year before, so I was sitting there in a leather jacket flipping a coin with a toothpick in my mouth, and I said, "I got some stuff to show you, buddy. I'll take care of you." Well, let's see. The year of 2011. What do you remember about this year? Your graduating year. How was your outlook on life?
I would say positive. I was ready to be done with school and start reality. And then I got into it and I was like, this isn't as fun as I want it to be. So I'm just going to hang out with my friends.
Yeah. This was a year of, I mean, I was in school, but it was definitely, this is where our hard partying years kind of started kicking off, just hanging out every day, smoking weed, drinking beers, going to concerts all the time. I think
fun shows.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think 2011 might be the year that you and I met, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I don't think we met when you were still in high school. I think it was after you graduated.
Yeah.
Or you were almost done with school.
But yes, that was a year that we met this year, 2011.
Shall we get into some of the news stories of the day?
Let's do it. On Wish We Were Then, we like to go back and look at some of the bummer stuff first. We like to have a lighthearted, fun show, but there are really shitty things that happen in these years that we go back to. So I'm going to start it off with a little bit of a bummer news in Japan. On March 11th, a 9.0 earthquake hit off the coast of Japan and causes a tsunami. It was the largest earthquake on record in Japan. 18,000 people lost their lives. Full-on towns were completely destroyed. The Fukushima nuclear power plant and a gigantic wave hit it, surrounded it with water, flooding the reactors and sparking a major disaster. Authorities set up exclusion zones, forcing 150,000 people to evacuate from the area. And authorities believe that it will take up to 40 years before they can finish decontaminating the area.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's affected the water over the coastlines, and to this day, it's still devastating.
Yeah, I know. They're just barely over a quarter of the way to getting it all contained or whatever. Dang. Yeah, man, that's a really devastating thing. I remember that, it was a huge relief efforts across the board, and you see telethons and things like that. It was a very heavy experience.
Well, I remember the way it would be affecting us, because we're Americans, was that it would affect the fish that we'd all be eating for years and years to come.
Mm.
I don't know what came of that, and I don't know. I didn't look into that and see if it actually did. I'm sure it did to some degree, but the way it affects like American fisheries, I don't really know. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah, dang, everyone's eating nuclear fish, huh?
I mean,
And
if it leaks into the ocean like that,
yeah, and I mean, fish is a humongous part of the Japanese diet.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
dang. I don't even know how. Yeah, you're right. What are the ramifications of that? Oof, talk about bummer news up top.
Yeah, so I was like, let's just get this one out of the way real quick.
Yeah. Well, let's see. On May the 1st, Osama bin Laden was killed by SEAL Team 6 after a 10-year-long manhunt. He was unarmed at the time he was killed, which was like kind of a little bit of a, not,
Controversial thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not super controversial because people were pretty much just across the board happy that it happened, but or not happy with, but it's a hard thing to.
Probably a sigh of relief. I mean, the reason they were looking for him was because he was the mastermind behind 9/11.
Yeah, it was, reading. I read a lot about the kind of where they gathered their intel from, and I mean, they weren't even really necessarily sure he was there when they raided his compound. They just knew like there's a big compound over here. We're not sure who lives there, and like they'd see some people milling about, but they couldn't see the people who actually like stayed there. Like he never really left, and he didn't use phones since he had been. I think he had like a wiretapping thing in the '90s happen to him, so he just hadn't used phones since the '90s, and he just did everything through couriers. And so eventually they found somebody through like a, how these things go, where it's like it's really interesting actually
A
reading.
person who knew a person who.
Yeah, and it'll be like somehow it'll be like a jewelry store owner like knew some guy who knew this guy, and it's like this crazy long line of how they tracked him down and all of that. But they get some intel of a courier going to him, and then eventually they just think this is probably it. So they get to go ahead and there was a lot of kind of back and forth about do they want to bomb it, do they want to send in a team of men or what, and they were kind of leaning towards bombing it, but then they were like, look, there's going to be a lot of casualties if you do that, and we don't even know if this is really it. So Obama kind of at the last second said let's send in SEAL Team 6 because they were kind of going to be in the area already, so it wouldn't draw a lot of attention. And then Obama decided kind of at the last minute, let's not tell the Pakistani government because we don't think they're going to be able to keep a secret. I mean, the only secret so far we know that they kept is that Obama's been hiding in this one spot, Osama. That Osama has been hiding here. So they decided not to alert them just in case and, went forward with this clandestine mission.
Well, I think if it happened maybe years prior, then they would have been more inclined to tell them. But it's like, look, we've been looking for this guy for almost 10 years now.
Yeah, we don't want to blow this one chance that we don't even
Yeah.
know if we have.
Yeah, and it's like they know how much help they've been, whether they were or not. I don't really know in the past 10 years up to that
Yeah.
point. So I'm sure that their judgment call was valid.
Yeah.
You know,
And I mean, it was a good idea to not go through with the bombing. That was definitely a good call,
yes, for sure. Hmm.
So it was sort of weighing all the different decisions and factors of it and going, all right, this is the least messy way we can handle this situation, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, speaking from a 2011 standpoint, it was a celebrated thing for us here in America.
Yeah.
People had a sigh of relief. Along with some of the things going on in the Middle East, almost all Arab countries were affected by the Arab Spring. It was a political and societal uprising. It happened in Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Brianna, Syria, and it influences almost all the Arab countries. The protests happened throughout the Middle East. They were angry about the corruption of their leaders, their authoritarian, oppressive dictatorships, and that's why most of these things happened.
It led to Gaddafi being upheaved from power, right?
Yep. But it was pretty much unanimous throughout most of the Arab countries. Like I said, that they were all like, this is not the way we want to be living.
Mm.
So,
And
But,
rose up.
Yep.
Well, we got one more. I have one last little downer note I'll say is that on October 5th, Steve Jobs passed away from neuroendocrine tumors. He died in his home in Palo Alto. He was surrounded by his family and friends. When he'd first been diagnosed, he refused treatment for 9 months in favor of more like holistic alternative medicines. You know, he was trying to go the natural route and do that sort of stuff. And there are varying degrees of opinion on how much that affected him. Some people say he was probably not going to make it no matter what. But there are some doctors who say he had one of the very few forms of very treatable cancer. And if he had jumped on it quicker, he might have had a chance of surviving. But that had all happened years prior, and in 2011, he succumbed to the disease. And it was a big deal for a lot of people. You know, he was a very celebrated person.
Well, especially because he was a successful entrepreneur and businessman without really having the knowledge of like he didn't make the iPhone.
Yeah.
He didn't make any of the like software or like any of that stuff. He was really just the marketing and the business side of everything, and he did it better than everybody else. He just happened to have a dope ass product that he was selling.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but without him, Apple would have not grown to what we know it as basically the largest company in the world.
Yeah, I just know when he passed away, especially at the time, there was a really strong sort of, I mean, people use the term the cult of Apple back then. Like, that was like a lot of where people got their identity from, you know? Apple products were like a branding of your identity for a lot of people. You know, the people would just, I have a Mac, I have an iPhone, and everything connects. And they seemed cool. I wasn't an iPhone person. I don't know if in 2011 I might have had one, but I wasn't like a person who was super into Apple. But I know to those people, it really, really hit hard, you know?
People still like that with Apple products. They're like, oh, you have an Android? Your texts are green or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. It's not as bad as it used to be, though. I mean, it was a really big, you know, Xbox versus PlayStation style debate for everybody, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, when he passed away, like, employees were given time off work to like mourn and view his service online and stuff like that. Like, he was just this huge leader to so many. Interestingly, he had a cool turtleneck.
Iconic turtleneck.
What a cool way to be like, I just take two very simple pieces of clothing and make them super iconic. You know, a pair of faded blue jeans and a black turtleneck.
He's like, this is what I like. Sorry.
Yeah, simplicity. You know, that's how he marketed. You know who I bet were some of the people who were very upset with the Steve Jobs passing were the type of people who go to Starbucks. I feel like those are, you know, they like Starbucks, they like
I
Apple,
feel like it
especially
goes
back
hand
then.
in hand.
Yeah. So I don't mean to offend anybody. If somebody's sitting there listening on their iPod and drinking a pumpkin spice latte.
While they're in Seattle.
Yeah. But in the year 2011, this was a year that was pretty close to, I think the year prior, maybe. I think we covered it, but the KFC Double Down sort of kicked off a trend of people doing weird, dumb shit for food for like a long time. There was a while where it was just every other month it'd be like a new crazy fast foods come out. So Starbucks, to get in on all this in 2011, they came out with the Trenta, which is 31 ounces of coffee. Basically a big gulp level of
I
caffeine.
remember that. A big gulp.
Yeah, tons of coffee. I mean, already a venti's, they're pretty big when you actually look at them, you know. 31 ounces is a lot. I say that while I'll sit here and crush 3 Diet Cokes during a recording. Like it's nothing. I'll drink 36 ounces of soda like nobody's business, so. I guess it's not that crazy. Just coffee seems like it's so much like more of a thing to get through. You know, it's thicker. It's like bitter and, you know, there's sugar and stuff like that.
Well, there's a bunch of sugar in Coke. Well, I guess not Diet Coke, but still it's sweet.
Yeah, I don't think I could sit here and drink three regular sodas, though. The sugar really gets to me. I think that's a big thing with coffee that I can't do because I just feel it, you know?
Well, I drink coffee with just a little bit of cream. I don't even put sugar in my coffee.
I would, you know, I could maybe get with that, but also cream. I don't really do dairy very well, so coffee's just not in the cards for me. I just have to drink three sodas a recording to keep my levels up. Also, in the world of the crazy fast food stuff, you got the Pizza Hut Big Dinner Box, which was just a big rectangular box that contained two medium pizzas, eight wings, five breadsticks, all in one big box for only $20.
I remember those.
They're like an amazing deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, $20 back then wasn't that much different than $20 now. I mean, marginally, that would be, I know that the conversion is whatever, but like in actual, like the way that I could see those numbers playing out, what would that be nowadays? Like 25, $30?
Probably.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, but now you buy one pizza and it's $20.
Oh, yeah.
Where you go, no matter where you go.
Everything's so fucking expensive now. But yeah, pizzas is just not, it's not like it used to be a easy way to feed for people. You'd be like, oh, go get a pizza, And now, yeah, if you get something that's not like on sale or a special or just like a one topping thing or something like that, it's like I'm not spending $25 on a two topping pizza. That's insane.
Yeah.
And the last crazy food that I will mention of the year 2011, this is actually the one that's kind of held on, is California and Ohio were made test markets for the Doritos Locos Tacos.
Fuck yeah.
And those would, of course, in the years to come, go on to be a nationally treasured item at Taco Bells everywhere.
Well, now they just have nacho cheese ones. You can get those all the time, I think. But they don't have the Cool Ranch and the spicy one that came out when this came out.
Oh, I never tried those.
The Cool Ranch, not gonna lie, didn't taste much different than like a regular shell. There wasn't enough like flavor differences, and the best one was the nacho one, but the spicy one was just like, that's not where I wanted my spice to come from. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather have hot sauce on it with a regular shell.
Yeah, and I guess then that kind of makes the hot sauce redundant. So then you just have a dry taco. I always think dry spicy things are a little weird,
like chips.
Yeah, or like dry rub wings when they're spicy, or like Nashville hot chicken is always a little bit of a weird experience.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it'll be really fucking spicy, but it's like there's not sauce everywhere, so your brain just doesn't like comprehend it properly. At least mine doesn't. The Doritos Locos Tacos, I remember because I was in school in 2011. I was in college and I was in a marketing class, and somebody from Taco Bell came to class and they told us about this. They were like, "Oh, we're coming out with this new taco. It's not going to be available everywhere yet. We're coming out with it and we're testing it here in a couple months. But I brought a bunch of them here for you guys to try out today. So we got to try out the Doritos Locos Tacos like a few months before they hit
fucking cool.
test markets. Yeah, and it was like I told people because I didn't like Taco Bell back then. I mean, now I'll eat it, but it's still not like my favorite place. But I don't like hate it. But back then I was like, ew, Taco Bell, and. But I was like, you know what? They do have one item coming out soon that's going to bring me into their doors. Tell people. And I can't say much. And I remember telling my sister, I'm not allowed to say. They told me we can't really say anything. And she was like, you idiot. They're not going to tell a bunch of college kids that about a secret product coming out and not expect you to tell all your friends. They specifically told you.
They wanted you to tell your friends.
They want you to tell every other kid on the college so everyone goes to Taco Bell. Do you have that taco yet?
I got one more. I got one food thing. Mark Post, a vascular biologist at the university in the Netherlands, I can't pronounce that name, Maastricht, I don't know. He created the first lab-grown animal test meat for food. And he used it. He did it using leftover animal parts. Oh. So this is the first time somebody would actually have like a lab-grown meat.
Oh shit! I thought you were going to say like Beyond Meat or something like that, but no, this was
I think this is part of it. I think this is where that's come from. I don't think people were like selling this stuff that he made right here.
Yeah,
but this is where this started. I think.
Whoa, that's pretty crazy. This is like made.
Yeah, like the lab-grown Beyond Meat. Yeah, this is where this first started, I guess.
That's So, but I mean, but Beyond Meat's like plant-based, right? This is animal-based. It's just regenerating tissue.
Yeah, basically.
That's crazy. I can't believe I haven't heard of that. This is like some fucking comic book shit. Like this is how concurrently this is happening underground somewhere, and there's some guy getting his superpowers somewhere else, and then they're gonna have to fight. He's gonna have to fight this fucking.
He's like, well, I mean, think about what AI is gonna do. They plug this kind of stuff into AI, and they're just gonna regenerate like people at one point. They can already do that with like livers and hearts, and they do already make stuff like that. Give it to AI, give it a 3D printer, and it's just going to 3D print people.
Yeah, I miss Grandma. Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be. I just think of like the idea of when online ordering first really became a popular thing, probably around this time. There were so many stories of like my son grabbed my phone and ordered 100 whatever dumb toys like Tickle Me Elmos or whatever the fuck. Kids would order a bunch of weird shit online, and the parents' cards were already connected, so it just went through. And I mean, I guess parents just had to get better about figuring out how to make sure their kids didn't do shit like that, because you don't really hear about it as much anymore. But
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I imagine that problem happening with 3D printing people, and that you just come home and there's like Abraham Lincoln and like Big Bird and Oprah Winfrey all in your house. You're like, what the fuck's going on in here?
Why would you even print Oprah Winfrey?
Grandma was lonely.
She needed a caregiver.
I'm printing Gail. Oprah got lonely. Well, speaking of technology, I guess that's a good segue into the tech world. And also, you just mentioned AI, so let's jump into my first little tech thing here. Is that IBM AI? They had a question answering artificial intelligence that was called Watson. And in 2011, Watson competed on Jeopardy. He was playing against contestants Ken Jennings, who most people know, and Brad Rutter, who was also one of the most winningest contestants in the show's history.
Isn't Ken Jennings the host now?
I know he went on to host it. I don't follow Jeopardy, but I know that he did host it for at least a while. I don't know if he still is.
Period of
But
time.
yeah. And once there was the question of who's going to host next, he was a very strong candidate. Anyway, so Brad and Ken went up against Watson. Watson just was provided with tons of information. I think he had like the entirety of Wikipedia downloaded, plus a bunch of other stuff, and cut off from the internet. So no access to any internet stuff. And they would ask the questions, and it was just him responding to actual language. So it was just like the contestants do. He just had all the knowledge inside of him like they do. They'd ask a question, and then Watson would have to buzz in. One of the things was that Watson buzzed in when he knew the answer, and because he was a computer, he just instantly hit the buzzer, as opposed to the humans who had to reach forward, and there was a margin for error and all of that. And so it was like, when it comes down to a split-second decision, Watson's going to win every time. That's what some of the complaints were leading up to the match. But it wasn't like it was a complete sweep. I mean, you think two guys going up against a computer, it seems like the computer could just wipe him out. But there were a lot of times where he didn't have certainty about the questions. There were like, I keep saying it didn't have certainty about the questions. Like there was a confidence meter on the screen that would show how confident he was in the answers. And sometimes it was pretty low. Like I think one of the last questions, it was like 10% was his best guess. It's best guess, Watson. The first match ended with Jennings winning $4,800. Rutter won $10,400, and Watson ended up with $35,734. So that's $35,000 to $10,000 and $4,000 respectively.
So he still won.
Oh yeah, handedly. The second match ended up with Watson totaling $77,147 compared to Jennings at $24,000 and Rutter at $21,600. So it really just cleaned the floor with him.
Damn.
100% of Watson's winnings, because this was all played for a grand prize of $1 million, 100% went to charity. And then half of everything that Jennings and Rutter won, they donated to charity as well. So
That's cool.
yeah, it was a good event for all that. But I think it was Jennings who afterwards, it was either Rutter or Jennings, in an interview afterwards, they said, I for one welcome our new, I think they said AI overlords or something like that, but they were quoting The Simpsons. He was basically saying, oh yeah, fuck, we're done. We're done for, if this is it now, it's not going to get worse,
It's only a matter of time.
So There you go. 2011 was really,
it's crazy.
They're starting to play with forces that maybe they shouldn't be tampering with.
All right, speaking of forces you shouldn't be tampering with, the iPhone 4 comes out this year, and it comes out with the first Siri interaction capability.
Oh, wow, cool. I didn't realize Siri came out this year.
That was the first time that you're being listened to and monitored, and it would never stop for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, I remember it being kind of exciting. I mean, it's so weird to think of how far we've come in this period of time. But I mean, we got to be a part of that, wave of seeing people use Siri for the first time, and people showing it to you, and they say like, you can ask it funny questions, or like ask it what the meaning of life is. It says the fucking Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or what, you know what I mean?
You can have it call you Big Dick. Yes, yes, Big Dick. I will answer that question.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so to see that, we were so mind blown by that long ago, and now I'll be like, "Hey Siri, God damn it, this stupid bitch doesn't listen." And the first time she actually popped on. Siri never works for me. Well, in the last little bit of technological advancement, so that I will tell you all about, is the Nintendo 3DS, which came out on February 26th in Japan and in March 27th in North America. This was basically the same thing as a Nintendo DS, where you have the two screens and everything, but the bottom screen was like three-dimensional without needing glasses or anything. I mean, I think they're still around, but this actually didn't take off as strongly as they hoped. I feel like this was kind of a time where after the Wii, Nintendo was like, I guess gimmicks are our thing. We just do weird, funny little thing. Oh, this next thing you can draw on, and then our next one's going to be 3D. So they just kept thinking, we're going to crack it again with what we did with the Wii. But less than 6 months after its release, there was a price reduction from $250 down to $170. So
Damn.
a big-ass price drop under 6 months. So they clearly were not doing as hot as they hoped they were.
Yeah. Speaking of handheld games that you play on your phone, Angry Birds was one of the most popular games this year.
Mm-hmm. It was crazy popular.
Yeah, so that's a game I played.
I liked playing Angry Birds.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And that was shocking to see them make a movie out of it. Now it's not that crazy to see something like that. But just to be like, they're making a movie about a phone game? That's just...
Well, they made the Emoji Movie, and that was wild.
Yeah. See, they were like, okay, we got to stop. There's a limit to what we can do. Speaking of video games that came out this year, a couple big ones. Probably the biggest one, I would say, for the year was Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim.
Yeah.
You were a Skyrim person, right?
Yeah.
I played it like one time.
Well, I played Morrowind and Oblivion, too.
Okay.
So I played the 3 and 4 leading up to it. So when Skyrim came out, I was like, yes, it's time.
It was a huge deal. I mean, everybody was so stoked on this game. All of my friends played it. I just never was that into RPGs, so it didn't really... I like the feeling of going around and building up your guy and all the lore and all that stuff. I just don't like the combat, the way it looks and feels. So I don't really have a ton of fun. Used to. Yeah, but it was not that much fun after that part. But the rest of it was fun.
I would say it was leaps and bounds better than, like I said, of playing the previous games, though. So going into it, not have playing those games, I can understand why you would be like, this isn't like for me. But having the ability to the combat be better than what it was in the old games was like, hell yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of floaty feeling first person thing that just you see it a lot in computer games. BioShock kind of feels like that, and it took me a minute to get used to that. I love those games, but the first time I played BioShock, I was like, I don't really love this, and then now those are some of my favorite games. But it took me a while to get used to that stuff. So, but that's also a shooter, so there's like more that I had in common with BioShock than with just straight up RPGs,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I gotta give them a try though. I can't keep living like this. I haven't played a video game in years.
RPGs are fun, especially because it's like I don't always want to just like play online against people, and sometimes I want to play for 10 minutes, and I can play for 10 minutes on an RPG and not have to like commit to a 30-40 minute match.
Yeah. I never play online games. I've never enjoyed it. It's so funny. I don't like being online. I don't like talking to people on the headset. It's just not fun to me at all. But one game that came out this year that I did have a good time with, Portal 2. That was a super good game. Took home a bunch of awards this year.
That was a great game.
Those games are so fucking cool. Really hard, but man.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I like games that are like strategy based or like puzzle based, and you have to try to actually like use your brain and think about stuff to figure it out. It's not just like button mashing.
That game, there's a couple of levels where you're like, I have to figure this out. Like, you start trying to get somewhere, and you're like, because you're just it's so interesting to just be put in a room and be like, all right, figure it out, dude. Go for it. And you're like, okay, do
Yeah.
I do this? Like, there's a path that they expect you to take, right? So sometimes you'll be doing something, you're like, I think this is going to work, but I don't know if this is what it's intended to be doing or if it's going to. So you could be doing something for like an hour and just be like, that's not the right path. I'm not going to make it by doing that. It was a
Yeah.
cool thinker of a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what it is, Portal is a game where you shoot a portal. You have a gun that shoots two ends of a portal, basically. So you shoot one at the wall in front of you, and then one at, a ceiling across the room. If you go through the one in front of you, you'll come out the other side, on the other side of the room. So you have to figure out how to traverse a bunch of levels by shooting
And that's like
portals
the
everywhere.
whole game.
Yeah, and it's
Like all the
very,
game.
it gets pretty confusing. Sometimes you'll be like, oh fuck, no, I got to do this, and your brain can't quickly remember which portal is which. It's pretty cool. A couple other ones real quick are Batman Arkham City. Uncharted 3 was really good. Little Big Planet 2, but I think also the biggest one at the time was Skyrim, but the biggest game moving forward and the biggest legacy would probably have to go to Minecraft, which debuted in 2011. I think it went public for the first time. It was in beta and stuff like that prior to this, but this is when it kind of debuted to the world. I mean, the game seems wholesome, and it's people just making stuff, so that's cool. It's fun, creative stuff. I mean, Little Big Planet 2 came out this year, so I think that's sort of was a Portal 2. There's a lot of creativity happening in games this year.
Yeah, for sure. I got a little something that's outside of games. It's a toy actually that came out this year. It's called the Singamajig, and it was like a little stuffed bear looking thing, and you squeeze the sides of it and it sings.
Okay.
But and then its mouth would like open up and be like, oh, and then you could like make them all sing together. I remember the commercials for this thing, so when I saw it, looking at my research, I was like, I gotta write this down. If you look them up, they're hilarious. They're like little colorful animals that sing, and they like do different voices, like on different parts of their body.
They
when
look
you
hilarious.
Dude, they're so funny.
They remind me of the Mana guys from the Muppets with their mouths being little circles.
Yeah. That's what I remember. That's how I remember them. I remember the commercials. They're like, ooh.
It's funny. Those things look really funny. You're playing with Singamajigs. What else you playing with? You're playing with your balls? I think I've used that one before.
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
Well, okay, you're playing with your balls. Let's hear all about it. We're about to talk sports.
All right, moving into sports. Some of the champions of this year, 2011. World Series champions was the St. Louis Cardinals. The Stanley Cup champions were the Boston Bruins. And the NBA champions were the Dallas Mavericks. And the Super Bowl champions were the Green Bay Packers.
February 20th, 20-year-old Trevor Bayne becomes the youngest Daytona 500 winner. It was a fun little factoid to throw out there. I'm not into, car racing, but 20 years old, that's pretty young to be out there with all those dudes twice your age, seasoned drivers.
Credit where credit is due.
He's a young man.
I feel like when I got older around this time, I realized how young these racing people are. Like, I expected everybody to be like as old as Dale Earnhardt Sr.
I guess that's what my image comes from. Yeah,
me too. And then I feel like it was around this time. Maybe I was a little older when I started to realize how young these kids were. Like, you look at some of them and you're like, is this kid even allowed to drive? Like, what the heck?
I wonder if that was around this time that it started to be a thing. Because, I mean, when you think about the people when we were younger, I mean, you had Jeff Gordon and, Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and stuff like that. These people were, they were, I mean, I guess I don't know how old they were, but in my head, they were all in their 30s, at least,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When they were huge, when they were big and popular. Yeah. So, but, I mean, I guess that comes from having been in the game for a while. It's not like they all just started driving that year and became popular, so. But at any rate, 20 years old, Trevor Bayne, good job out there whipping it with all these older guys. Who knows how old they all were? Or younger guys. Maybe they were a bunch of kids. You just whipped a bunch of whippersnappers' asses. A bunch of 15-year-olds out there on the course. All right, my last little sports news is in the world of basketball. On June 23rd, the NBA draft took place. Going first was Duke point guard Kyrie Irving. He'd go on to be quite the noteworthy figure in the world of basketball. and drafted 15th overall by the Indiana Pacers and traded that same night to the Spurs was Kawhi Leonard. So two of very awesome basketball players came out this year, and Kawhi, actually both these guys, I'm always kind of shocked at how young they are.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Trevor Bain, and it's like sports is a young man's game, and you grow up your whole life just seeing all these dudes, and some of the people out there are 40 years old, so you just see everybody being adults, Plus they're all these like huge, strong people, so like they just look like that's a really an adult person, and then you grow up, you're like, man, I'm older than all these athletes now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think
That's
about
great.
like that's a man when you're a kid. No,
Yeah.
not really. They never
No.
really were, actually.
But even as
Some
an
of 'em.
adult, like watching Kyrie and Kawhi Leonard and being like, oh yeah, those are like some fucking like men out there on the courts, and I'm like, oh, they're my age,
Yeah.
They were just coming out of college, like, you know what I mean? They're not that much older than me. Like, it's so weird. They're my contemporaries. So, did you ever see Uncle Drew, the movie with Kyrie, where he does? It's pretty funny. It's like it's not pretty funny. It's a funny concept though, and it was something he had done online already prior. But he just puts on old age makeup and then shows up to courts, like on the street, It'll be like, oh, what's going on? You mind if I play with you? And then people are like, all right, old man, you think you can hang? And then he's Kyrie Irving, so he just like smokes everybody.
No, I've never even heard of that movie.
It's all right. It's not super funny, but the trickery scenes are cool. Well, speaking of watching things, we're not ready to get into movies quite just yet, but we'll get into the movie's little brother, TV. And on television, American Idol on Wednesday is the most viewed program in the year 2011. And Dancing with the Stars comes in at number 2. Sunday Night Football, number 3. And NCIS is the 4th most watched program in the country. But yeah, American Idol was much more popular than anything else this year, And it seems like I'm surprised at how often 60 Minutes and American Idol come up.
60 Minutes comes up a lot more than I thought it would, especially at number 1. It's not even just like, oh, it's on the chart. It's like, nope, it's number 1 every time it's on there, if it's on there.
I know, weird. It's so weird.
It's either that or like sitcoms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so far.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is that from this year on, 2011, we will be looking at the way that we watch movies much differently because Netflix becomes a streaming service this year.
So if people aren't aware, and nowadays it's not that crazy to think, someone who was born in 2011 is 14 years old, so they're been living in the world for a while. Netflix before used to be something that you would go and select movies that you wanted to watch, and then they would mail those DVDs to your house.
Yes.
And then you were allowed to keep them as long as you wanted. There were no late fees or whatever. You just had to keep up in your subscription, and you would just send your movies back and when you were done watching. So it was like renting. And before that, you used to go to Blockbuster or the library and rent movies, and have to come home and drive them back to the place. So now you get to do it all from the comfort of your home. And it's so funny because the name Netflix seems like it was intended to be the name of a streaming service. You're watching all of this on the internet, but really it was just that you used the internet to tell this company what movies you wanted them to mail you. It seems like so old-fashioned now,
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's like a phone catalog or some shit, Let me just go ahead and select these, and then you put it out there and you just wait. It's not like you're, it's crazy.
It will come when it comes.
Yeah. And I mean, I never had it back then. I remember Logan's family had Netflix back then, so I'd see it in action, but I never got to really use the whole thing.
We didn't have it either, I don't think, but I know people who did.
Well, one of those shows that for sure has been watched quite a bit on streaming is, although it did come out on HBO, but I'm sure a lot of the people watched it. I know I watched it streaming. Is Game of Thrones came out in 2011. One of the biggest shows of our generation.
I watched the first handful of episodes and that was it.
Oh, really? I thought that would be something you were really into.
I think at the time I wasn't into it because I was like, my sister was like, oh, you like Lord of the Rings and stuff. You'll love this show. And then because of that, I was like, fuck that show.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of years, I was like, all right, I'll get into this. I'll try it. And I did like it. I just never wasn't hooked like everyone else was.
Yeah, I feel you. I watched the whole thing, and to be honest, I thought it was pretty boring. I thought that they did a really awesome job on all of the sets and the costumes and stuff like that. But it's really just it's a show about watching people talk to each other, for hours. And then every once in a while some action happens. But also I'm not really somebody who's like that driven by action scenes necessarily. So there's just nothing for me in that show. I really don't watch a lot of dramas in the first place. So it's just totally not in my wheelhouse. But I really do like fantasy stuff a lot. So you would think that'd be something I would have been into, but just didn't. I think the thing about it is it focuses all on politics and then battles. There's never really a whole bunch of like, this is what this world is like. It's just like, yeah, it's like old-timey Earth, but with dragons sometimes, and they're pretty rare. And then for some reason, snow zombies eventually, and that made no sense and came out of nowhere. So it was, I don't know that you're necessarily, I think it's very overrated. I do think it's really cool that they made it. It's a well-done show, but it's not the greatest thing in the world.
I'm gonna listen to it on audiobook and piss.
Oh yeah, I would check out the books.
Yeah, they're probably better.
Speaking of books, American Horror Story. That's a book. Just kidding. It's a show.
Oh, I thought it was a book. I was like, that's cool.
No, I don't know. Maybe it was, but I couldn't tell you. No, but the show debuted in 2011.
Great. I loved that show that year. I watched that for sure.
That's another show that it's so in my wheelhouse. It's crazy that I just don't enjoy it. It's never really
the first season
clicked with me.
I gotta say.
I remember that we all watched like everybody in our friendship group watched Coven together. Like we would all get together, like 7 of us would watch it, or then we would all be like, everyone has to watch this week so we can talk about it on Wednesday. And then I watched the whole thing, and then the finale was coming up, and everyone was like, Trey, you have to come over. We got to watch the finale together. And I was like, oh, I can't do it tomorrow. And everybody was like, well, we've been trying to do this for like 3 days. And I was like, just watch it without me. I don't give a shit. And they were like, no, we'll replan. I said, I'm never going to. If you watch it without me, I'll just never watch it. I'm not invested. And everybody was like, how could you possibly have watched every episode so far and don't care about the finale? And I was like, just don't. And I didn't watch it. And it's never bothered me to not know how that season ended.
I don't even remember how it ended all these years later, if it makes you feel any better.
But I've heard people say that the seasons, they were really good and kind of progressively got less good as it went along.
I watched them periodically after Coven, and then I watched the first episode of one, and a guy took a spiked dildo in the ass, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done watching this show. Thanks. That's all I needed to see. It was the first scene of the first season of whatever season it was.
I mean, that's how I felt about the carnival or circus or whatever season. Like one of the first scenes of that one.
I didn't finish that one.
Evan Peters as a lobster man uses his lobster claw to like, double penetrate a girl. And there's like a line of girls all waiting to get into this room to have him do that. And I was just like, this is so nasty. And I just remember being like, that's not something you couldn't just accomplish by doing making a Spock hand. Like, it's not like this guy's, if he had a dick on his hand or something like that, I guess. I was just like, this is just gross for the sake of being gross. I was like, I can't believe you could show this on TV. This is wild.
I do remember that. I didn't finish that season either. Like I said, it fell off. First season, really good. I suggest you go and watch it because it was a really good season, and I
should check that out. I have not seen that one.
But the ones following after that do get progressively worse. I would say watch Coven. Wouldn't say it's like I have to go watch, but it's better than the other seasons, that's for sure.
It was interesting, but I mean it also was a lot of just kind of like a teen drama, and that's not necessarily Covenant specifically was about a bunch of teenage girls.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So but speaking of girls, we got 2 other shows that debuted this year that were big. You had New Girl and 2 Broke Girls.
2 Broke Girls was big.
They were pretty popular. New Girl was really big for a sect of women. It's so funny. That was such a brand of lady back in this time, like the sort of like, I'm so quirky. You know what I mean? Kind of thing was like very big in 2011. So like New Girl, like Zooey Deschanel was like the epitome of that. I mean, people say manic pixie dream girl, but I don't know. It was sort of a different.
What is
There's
that
just
mean?
this. It was a term used to describe people like her in movies that would be like, oh, I'm the quirky love interest, and I'm just this, like she's this. She comes in and like Scott Pilgrim versus the World,
Okay.
like that type of love story where it's like this guy and this 500 Days of Summer is another one of that sort of genre. And so I just think that was a really big thing back then. And maybe a couple years prior to this, and so this was sort of the remnants of that. And these were now the girls being like, I don't have to be the interest of the love story. I'm just the quirky girl in the town, and so New Girl was sort of that.
Yeah,
And
makes
I kind
sense. I see
of
what
Two
you're
Broke
saying.
Girls kind of follows the same sort of thing, but it was more like, oh, I'm the spunky one and I'm the ditzy one or whatever. But two shows that really mattered in my life personally that came out this year were both starting with W's. You had two shows with girls a second ago. Now I got two shows with W's. First off, we have Wilfred, and second of all, we have Workaholics. Got to say them both at the same time because they hold equal weight in my heart.
I'm sad that Wilfred never got to finish.
Yeah.
You never really get a conclusion of that show, but maybe that's what makes it so good, because I really did like that show too.
I kind of prefer that because, you know, it's so clear that they're flying by the seat of their pants. They don't really know what their plan is with any of the story or why any of this is happening. And they just kind of keep throwing weird shit in there. And I kind of feel like by the end, they're like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do? And then they're like, we didn't get renewed. Oh, no one's going to know what was going on, you know?
Yeah, but maybe that's what made it good, you know, kind of the spontaneity of it.
I kind of wish they had left it as the first couple seasons where it's just very, very sparse, little tiny things where you kind of go like, is there something more going on or not? And as the show went on, it kind of became, well, it did feel like you're building to something a little bit. Like either he has to be fully insane or there has to be something going on. And at the beginning, you're just kind of like, I don't know, maybe he's a little crazy, you know, or maybe this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Workaholics is the other big show for the year for me. I mean, it's my favorite TV show, I think, ever. I still watch it constantly.
It's a great show.
I watched pretty much the whole first season this week just to prep and just remember talk about something to take you back to remembering what it was like to be then. Man, that was my touchstone of putting myself back in my younger body and going, oh yeah, man. I remember seeing the previews for the show, all the trailers and stuff, and being like, I don't know. That seems kind of like it's marketed towards me, which either means it's going to be bad or good. You know, if something's like directly, you're like, oh, that's going to be kind of cheesy. And so I didn't watch the first couple episodes. And I remember the first one I watched was the Juggalo episode. And I was like, this is the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. And I like told my friends about it. And, you know, it was sort of either people going, oh, I haven't seen it yet. I guess I'll check it out if you say so. Or people going, yeah, I wasn't going to watch that show. And oh my God, it's good. And, you know, for the next 7 years or whatever, it was just my favorite show on TV.
Yeah, it's a great show. I remember hearing about it in high school. One of my friends told me about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I didn't for a long time until I think we started hanging out, and then I started watching it.
It was also such a good point in my life to have been in, you know, I was in college, I was out of high school. These guys were, you know, supposed to be like in their mid-20s. I think Durs turns like 25 in one of the first episodes. So they were, you know, around my age, or they were playing around my age. I think they're a couple years older than that in real life. But it was so perfectly, you know, for my time and our age and our group of friends and stuff, that they were just like us. They played beer pong and smoked weed all day. So, and really, I mean, I can't think of another show that really ever, if something else had come out the same year in my life, at that point in my life, I can't think of another show that would have encapsulated as well how we operated as that show did. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah.
A few more to just run through real quick where we drag this on too long on the TV. The Voice and The X Factor both came out in the world of singing competitions. And people with annoying laughs, you have Impractical Jokers and Ridiculousness, both came out that year. Both really huge. Ridiculousness pissed me off. I mean, I loved Robin Big. I mean, and you know, I grew up a skateboarder, so I was a Rob Dyrdek fan. Or I was excited to see him being a celebrity on MTV. He wasn't like the, you know, greatest skater or whatever, but the Robin Big skit was funny in the DC video, and to see them make a show out of that was hilarious. But then it was just like, dude, this guy's so fucking annoying. Get him off my TV.
I remember like watching it one day and just thinking to myself, like, man, Bob Saget's funnier than these motherfuckers.
Right.
Bring him back. Make him do America's Funniest Home Videos again. It's ridiculous.
Weirdly, though, kind of prescient in a way, Rob Dyrdek. And I mean, I know he was just totally jacking Daniel Tosh's idea from Tosh.0 by doing Ridiculousness.
That show was so good, though.
So much better. But his format, Ridiculousness, obviously, I mean, Tosh.0 was big for its time, but I think Ridiculousness was maybe just as big. Maybe, you know, it kind of seemed bigger sometimes. Maybe not. I don't know. But I think that he really captured sort of the tone and the presentation and stuff that would become popular later on. You know, the franticness of it, the so like screaming all the time and oh my god, I can't believe, like, you know, reacting to the videos like that. It wasn't. He didn't have jokes that were written and like thought of before. It was just them reacting in real time, which is just how everything is now. You know.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. And then he had like his posse of people.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? You know?
Yeah, it really was a I mean, podcasts were a thing, but I mean, this was sort of the way they are now on TikTok and stuff, where it's just a group of people sitting around talking about shit they're watching online.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some of my some cool shows that I like watching. Black Mirror came out.
oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen the pilot and Bandersnatch.
They're pretty good. I watched a good amount of
I
them.
know. I gotta watch. They seem amazing. I mean, the pilot was so fucking gnarly. The one with the pig and the prime minister or whatever. He has to
Oh,
like,
yeah,
that
I
one's
do remember
crazy.
that. And Bob's Burgers.
Yes, Bob's Burgers is. I mean, very similar to me as Workaholics, were actually way harsher. Where at first I was like, ew, I don't want to fucking watch that show. Their voices are annoying. The animation looks gross.
The animation, I was like, what? I don't know about this, dude. Like when I first saw previews for it, yeah, gross, for sure.
And adult cartoons, like, I mean, especially back then, it was like, you know, if they weren't a big production like South Park and Family Guy or whatever, you had a bunch of stuff on Adult Swim, and half of them were like fucking nasty to watch. I hated watching, you know, Adult Swim, because half the time it would be great, and then the other half of the time, like, Squidbillies just grosses me out. I hate that show, and people like it. I don't know. A show that's kind of gross and also sort of similar is China, Illinois, came out this year. It's sort of the same. Like that one,
yeah.
I actually liked that one, but it's still, I'll watch it sometimes and be like, ugh, this is so nasty. It's just like off-putting, not just like gross, like whatever. It's just off-putting and like makes my skin crawl. But China I'll watch. But Bob's Burgers ended up being, I mean, it's wonderfully wholesome somehow. It's, you know, it's so usually positive still. It's just a very enjoyable watch, and it's hilarious. It's one of the funniest shows there is, and I will say probably has had the most consistent run of any adult cartoon. It's always strong. There's not like the seasons suck now. Oh yeah, it hasn't been good in a couple of years. It's like anytime I put it on, I still enjoy it as much as I used to, you know.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I haven't watched a lot of the new ones because I'm actually trying to catch up because I've just don't watch it like I used to. So
Yeah, me too. I think it might be like 2 or 3 seasons back now.
I think I'm further than that probably. But yeah, so I can't really say about the new episodes, but fuck, I love that show so consistently. I could just put it on and just like, it's also, I have kids, so I'd be like, put it on and it's not like the worst. And we can all enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, so it's
That's
like
also why I like
surprisingly
that.
wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also why I like it. Yeah, they say like crap and damn and stuff like that, but it's not like Family Guy where it's like, you're too young for that joke. You know?
Yeah. It's I mean, it stars kids, and they do a good job of making these kids adults, but not like South Park. They're like, they still are kids. I mean, they say they have adult viewpoints sometimes, and like, you know,
Adult
some of the
jokes every once in a while.
but they are still children, and that's really, I don't know. It's a really great show. Last two I will mention in terms of live action comedies here are Portlandia and John Benjamin Has a Van, are both wonderfully weird little shows. If you don't know these ones, check them out. Good year for John Benjamin. He plays Bob, if you don't know, people out there. Bob Burger. And then he also plays John Benjamin Has a Van.
Bob Belcher, gosh.
Bob Burger. Right, isn't it Teddy who thinks his name is Bob Burger? Portlandia is also great. I love that show. It's one that I didn't watch when it first came out, and after a couple of years I started watching it, and I was like, holy shit, this show's fantastic. It's so funny.
I was watching it in preparation for this.
Oh, yeah?
So good. I love that show. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't.
it's awesome.
I also did not watch it for many a years
Mm-hmm.
until, I don't know, 2019. After it was done, for sure.
Yeah. Last two things here for the kiddos. Amazing World of Gumball came out this year. It was a really big hit. I've never watched any of it.
It's good. I like that show, and I was 19 or 18 when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of was in the similar. Cartoon Network was doing good with a lot of those types of shows. I know Adventure Time was really huge, and I like Adventure Time. I never like watched it consistently, but I like it every time I see it. And then Regular Show I loved back then.
I love that show too.
And this is kind of seems sort of in that vein a little bit, like where it's like this works for older kids as well as actual children.
Yes.
But Yeah, that was definitely a big cartoon. And then Bubble Guppies is another one I've never seen. I don't really know what it is. I just know I recognize that being a thing that kids
My
were pretty
daughter
into.
loves that show.
It's like
It's
fish or something.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, it's hard concept because they still have everyday interactions. But yeah, they it's like an underwater world, and then they still have like, I don't know, people falling, and I don't really understand it, but they teach you stuff. I don't know. I watch it and I'm like, I don't get this at all.
Okay, well that's it for TV, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of good stuff came out on TV.
Yeah, I neglected to say about Workaholics. One of the best things about that show is the theme song.
Oh yeah,
With the beatboxing.
gotta
You gotta be fresh. So good. Love that song. Hey, what other songs from 2011 do you love? Well, let's take a look at some of them, eh? Right now, we are going to count down the top 5 songs off of the Billboard charts. Going 5 to 1, baby. 1 in 5. And then afterwards, we'll tell you a little bit about what else came out this year. But let's kick it off with number 5.
Kicking off number 5, "Give Me Everything" by Pitbull, featuring Near, Afrojack, and Neo. Released on March 18th, 2011, it was the second single off of Pitbull's 6th studio album, Planet Pit. The first number 1 single in the U.S. Billboard Chart 100 for every artist except Neo, who had a previous number 1 in 2006.
So Sick. That's a good song.
Yeah, so sick
of love. That song is way better than this one.
The song also peaked at number 1 in 21 countries such as Belgium, Canada, Ireland, Netherlands, and Romania, and as the 7th best-selling digital songs of 2011 with the worldwide sales of 8.2 million copies.
This song was Pitbull's first ever number 1 song. I mean, that's crazy. He's 6 albums deep and then blew up,
Yeah.
to become number 1. It was number 1 for 1 week. And Pitbull said that he wrote the song. I could not find any information about this story beyond just the one sentence I saw that said, Pitbull says he wrote the song after an encounter with a princess from Dubai, that they were like at a club, and then he was talking to her and he was trying to give her his number, and then security was like trying to usher her away from him. And then after that, somehow that interaction inspired him to write this song. I don't know. It was weird. I was like, what the fuck? Princess from Dubai? Like, that doesn't even make sense as an inspiration for this song.
Is there
But he says
princesses in New Dubai? I don't even know.
He says at one point that he's going to go to do a show in Dubai I think he says for a princess. I don't remember. But so I don't know if it was like him justifying the lyrics that were already in the song and going like, yeah, I wrote the song because I actually did meet a princess of Dubai. I don't know. Weird story. Kind of the lyrics are so generic of the song. It doesn't really seem like you needed an inspiration to say, give me everything tonight, we might not have tomorrow. That's not something that you need to have written. That's just a thing that people say. You know what I mean? I don't know. The video for this song was pretty interesting to me. It featured the 2010 Miss Haiti, Siraj Bertine, as well as former Girlicious member Natalie Mejia. And Girlicious was a band that was like... the Pussycat Dolls did like a TV show where they built a new band, and they were Girlicious. So they were a pop group prior to this, but had disbanded by this point. So she's a former pop star. There's a 2010 Miss Haiti, as well as Adrienne Bailon from the Cheetah Girls and 3LW, and Russian model Ava Skaya. And so I read all these people were in the video, and so I decided to watch it. Now, the only person I recognize is Adrienne Bailon, but she's in it for like a split second. She's just kind of one of the girls on his arm during a dancing scene. And I was like, damn, that's crazy to have that much clout and pull that. You're like, I want to get a bunch of like formerly famous women and just have them stand around me. Like, that seems so sad for the girls involved. He hasn't even gotten
number 1 yet.
Yeah, I just imagine being Adrienne Bailon and just being like, oh yeah, I used to be a pop star. I was in 3LW and the Cheetah Girls, and I used to, be a big deal. So now I'll be in your video. And then he's like, she's barely in it. It just seems like a weird way to be like, I'm so cool. I got just former pop stars hanging around me. Like I'm the best one here, I guess. Although I suppose maybe
I wonder if they get anything like royalties, or do they just get paid for that? Like
I don't know
how
how
it works.
I wonder if though the actual thought was like he was probably like, yeah, I'm gonna have some pop stars. I want to have like Britney Spears and like Katy Perry on my arm. They're like, we can get you Adrienne Bailon. She's a former Cheetah Girl. And then someone from Girlicious. How does that sound? I want models on my arm. We have Miss Haiti and a Russian model. Like, okay. I was hoping for like Heidi Klum or something,
Like, sorry, you haven't got a number one, dude. I don't know what
Yeah,
to tell
next year. We'll try this again next year.
you. Yeah.
I wanted to read you a little excerpt here from an NME magazine review. It honestly reminded me of the scene when they're reading the reviews in Spinal Tap. Just listen to this. This is the last little sentence from the review. You've got your cheap rave wibble, a high frequency irritation that buzzes throughout like a fly trapped in jism. They wrote
What
that
the
in a
fuck?
magazine. You can't. Where did they print that? Where did they print that? You can't write that. A fly trapped in jism. What the fuck? What editor? I mean, forget the guy who wrote this. What editor got this on his desk and didn't go, whoa, change that? Ew, what? Come on.
They all hated it. They must have. They're
Yeah,
like,
but
this
dude,
needs to be. Oh my god, that's crazy. And it lasted too. Nobody went back and like retroactively changed it either. Like,
This 2-word review simply says shit sandwich is what I'm referencing if you don't know Spinal Tap folks out there. Honestly, shit sandwich is a better review than a fly trapped in jism.
jism. That's crazy.
Shit sandwich is a kind of review.
You would
than
think that it would have been flipped, right? Like the jism would have been in the movie.
Right, yeah.
Shit would have been in real life. That's crazy.
Definitely the most scathing review I've ever read.
Of anything ever.
Yeah.
That's insane. Hey, our podcast won't be that bad at least.
Oh boy, just as long as I don't get that review, I'm okay. Last thing I will say about this song, I probably should have ended on that one. But last thing I'll say here that it was interesting was on August 22nd of 2011, Lindsay Lohan sued Pitbull over the use of her name in this song because he says "got her locked up like Lindsay Lohan." So
She
he's
had to get money somehow, I guess.
he's trying to make fun of her for going to jail. But the judge ruled it was protected under the First Amendment, and she lost the case. So you're allowed to just mention people in your song, I guess. Seems like, I don't know. I guess it's not defamation because she did get locked up, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess if he was spouting lies, she might have more of a case.
Yeah, so it's not libel. Okay, number 4 is E.T. featuring Kanye West. Oh, we'll say that after the person who did it, though. Number 4 is E.T. by Katy Perry featuring Kanye West. This song came out March 1st of 2011 and spent 5 non-consecutive weeks at the top of the charts. It was first released as a promotional single on August 17th of 2010, and then was released a couple months later with the Kanye West verse added, and that's kind of what made it blow up for some reason. I guess just the inclusion of Kanye. I'm going to
He
just
was
go ahead.
popular at the time.
Yeah, he was insanely popular. His rapping on this is god awful. The verses are so bad. It's like
It is
such
really
first
weird.
draft shit.
So it's really weird that she allowed this, in my opinion. Anyway,
But man, the rhymes are terrible. Tell me what's next? Alien sex? It's like, dude, this is terrible. This is like written by a fucking 15-year-old, man. Like, make a rap about aliens, dude. It's just really, really bad. The beat for this song was accidentally played in front of Katy Perry during a recording session with Dr. Luke and Max Martin, the producers that she works with all the time. So they were all there to record something, and they were rifling through the beats on the computer to show her what they had cooked up for her, and accidentally played this beat, which had been intended for 3 6 Mafia. That's insane, right? That,
yeah, right.
A
Holy
3
shit.
6 Mafia song accidentally became a Katy Perry song.
That's
Super
crazy.
weird. Yeah, she just had said like she was trying to figure out some cool futuristic sounding stuff, and that beat fit, and so she just kind of, she was so popular, I'm sure she just ordered them to, that's for me now, and they're like, all right, sorry 3 6 Mafia, we'll find you something else,
Yeah, maybe they didn't even show it to them yet. Maybe it was still in the works.
Hopefully. I can imagine
Yeah.
them having to be like, that beat you guys liked? Well, it's not yours anymore. Katy Perry has it. Nothing that we can do. This song set a record for the most weekly plays with an average of 94 per station. So 94 plays per week per station.
Damn.
And that was a record at the time. And she broke her previous record. So she was the one who had set that record in 2010 with California Girls, and then she broke it again in the same year, 2011, with TGIF. So she broke 3 times in a row. She broke the record for the most plays per week on any radio stations with her songs. So she was insanely popular back then. This song, last thing I will say, is that it won VMAs for Best Collab and Best Special Effects in the music video. I watched the music video, and the only video I really remembered from Katy Perry was the California Girls video, and it's a lot of fun. She's walking around Candyland, she's it's silly, but whatever. And then we watched Dark Horse, I think, right? The one where it was like this Egyptian themed thing. And then this one is also just so fucking weird. It's like she starts off as a full-on alien, not like her in makeup, but just like a crazy alien. And then she starts morphing into herself, but she's got like pink, accents on her skin and like a lot of prosthetics and stuff like that. And then by the end of it, she becomes a humanoid. But then for some reason, she meets like a man on Earth. She flies down to Earth and it's all polluted and destroyed. And then she meets a man there, and it ends with them holding hands and looking at the sunset. And then she takes off like her skirt thing, and she's got gazelle legs underneath for no real reason. And it's played up like this big reveal at the end, like, whew, look at her legs. And you're like, what is she trying to say? I think she just thinks she's being artistic,
She's like, this is how I express myself.
Yeah, I just can see like, weird, and then I take it off, and it's gazelle legs. You're like, oh, why? I don't know, and I just think nobody ever asks her, oh, why is that happening? And then she has to be forced to go, oh, you're right. Yeah, that would be. It's already weird as hell anyway. I already became an alien to a human being. It doesn't need to end with a big reveal that, guess what? It was weirder than you thought.
I don't know. That's insane. It's crazy. But like, I guess you do have to be a special kind of weird, insane to be Kanye West or Katy Perry.
Yeah, I go back and think of people like, specifically, my big touchstone is always David Bowie. I mean, he was one of the first guys who was just like super duper weird, outwardly. And like people would ask him in interviews, like, why are you so weird? And he'd be like, well, because I like to be. That was it. I was like, he'd just be like, because it's not fun to be normal. And he would just do strange things all the time. Like he, for like a year, lived off of milk and chili peppers or some shit like that. He was a strange man and did weird things, but he also did really amazing music a lot of the time. And I think that people were like, yeah, there were a lot of other people who did do incredible music at the time, but he was the one that everybody focused on and talked about, and it was because of his being weird as fuck off the stage. So
yeah,
really set a, kind of a, when I specifically artists like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and stuff like that, I think it's just like, yeah, you look back and go, who else do they remember from that era,
Yeah, that's true.
He's the one that we talk about. Or like Elton John. The guy came out in a fucking Donald Duck costume. Like it's the dumbest thing you could fucking do. That's way worse than anything Lady Gaga did,
Wearing meat.
Yeah, that's like, oh, that's funny 30 years later. But like, dude, just to come out at the height of your fame wearing Donald Duck gear because you're just fried out of your mind on drugs is so sick.
Gnarly. A legend, what can you say?
Yeah. All right, but to shift focus back to Katy Perry for a moment, we're going to move on to number 3.
Number 3 is Fireworks by Katy Perry. I bet you didn't expect that one coming. This song was her third single off the third studio album, Teenage Dream, which is the one we just talked about. Released on October 6, 2010. It spent 4 non-consecutive weeks at number 1, and the song certified platinum 12 times over. Yeah, this is her best-selling single ever. This song was huge. I'm surprised it was number 1, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, the next couple, there's a lot on this list though. This is a shocking year. I mean, there's just so much music, and it was everywhere. It was pretty pervasive at the time, in a way that you kind of can avoid listening to music nowadays if you want to. You don't really have to hear it as much. I don't know why it feels like that, but back then it just seemed like if you didn't want, you heard this shit whether you wanted to or not. Yeah.
And this is Katy Perry's favorite track from the Teenage Dream album. So, there you go. It's her. She
Probably
likes it.
Her money maker.
I was going to say, I don't know how much that is influenced by the fact that it's her most successful song ever. Yeah, you know which one's my favorite? The one that I made all that money doing. In 2014, she became the first artist to have digitally sold 5 million copies of 6 different songs. So again, man, she was insanely popular. Firework, Hot and Cold, California Girls, E.T., Roar, and Dark Horse all digitally sold 5 million copies or more.
Jeez.
The song won a VMA for Video of the Year, which I watched this one too. This was the first time I watched every video just because I thought they all had something to say about the videos. This video was terrible. Awful video. It's so bad. It looks like it came out in 2001. It's like she's just walking around she's walking around a city, and like it reminds me a lot of the Christina Aguilera Beautiful video. You remember that one from back in the day where there's like the super anorexic kid in front of the mirror and all that?
Yeah.
This one, there's like a girl who's like very marginally overweight, wants to go. She's at a pool party and she's working up the courage to take her shirt off and jump into the pool with everybody. And it's like, that's fine. She's not that heavy, and also like, it's a super watered down version of what Christina Aguilera did years prior, you know? And there's just a bunch of those types of things, like as people working up the courage to do something, and every time they do, then a big like firework appears in their chest, like a bunch of lights start going off and stuff, and it's just people walking around the city with lights shooting out of their chest, and it was like, this is so cheesy and lame. I just thought, whatever, it's fine for a music video, but the fact that it took home the VMA was just really, that's what surprised me about it. I had to go and watch it and was like, this looks like it was, you know, it looks like a student film or something. It just was bad. But for the video, they hosted an open casting call to get these people to be walking around the city showing their soul fireworks off to the world. And the open casting call drew 38,000 applicants.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. It was quite a pool of people to get through to pick out, okay, who can really walk down the street looking happy?
They
Yeah,
probably just picked the first 20 people and told everyone else
Right.
to go fuck home.
oh, we got 30,000 more to look to. Damn. It's going to be a long day.
Be a long weekend. We gotta
You're
do
just,
that all
I know
fucking-
you're in the back of the line looking forward, like, I don't think we're gonna get through this anytime soon. I really hope they see us. Last little tidbit about this song that also shocked me, just the inspiration for a lot of these songs. Which again, this feels like a song that you don't necessarily. I'm not like wondering how did she come up with this? Baby, you're a firework. Come and let your colors burst. Like it's very rudimentary in my opinion, but it was based on a line from Jack Kerouac's novel On the Road. Already I was blown away by the fact that Katy Perry had read On the Road. I don't know, I'm being very mean to her, but I just didn't think that she was that person who read Kerouac. And in the book it says, burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the stars, and in the middle you see the blue center light pop and everybody goes, ah. So she took that and then went, okay, how do I, dumb that down a little bit and put it into a song? And
How do I musify this?
yeah, so there you go. That's the inspiration for that one. Okie dokie, Katy Perry. Good job getting numbers 4 and 3, but we're done with you on the charts because here on out is a different artist. So number 2 is Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO featuring Lauren Bennett and Goon Rock, which is an unfortunate name now that term is, took on a different meaning. Gooning, like just kind of randomly out of
What
it.
does
It's like people use it as like jerking off too much, or like I get people like
Really? I never
yeah,
heard
like
that
porn addiction or whatever is like gooners. People say now.
Oh, what the fuck? Dude, I don't
Yeah,
know.
like
any
this dude's been
slang.
gooning all day. Yeah, it's super weird. It's like goon's a cool word. I like the word goon. I'm bummed that you can't say it. The
Man.
Goonies, like the Goon Squad, like there's cool stuff.
Oh, man. Now the Goon Squad means something totally different.
Right? Dude, yeah, exactly. Anyway, Goon Rock helped produce this one. Came out on January 25th of 2011. Spent 6 weeks at the tops of the charts. Party Rock Anthem, and LMFAO was so crazy huge. They were just,
Yes.
you could not escape LMFAO. And it's
Yeah.
so wild to me that they were that popular. And that they're just not, we don't talk about them anymore. To be like literally the most popular people in the world for a while, for a short, brief period of time. This song was the first single from their second and final album. So they just came in, exploded across the world, were insanely popular for 2 albums, and then just stopped making music. And I read about it, and I think it was Red Foo who said, we've been doing this for so long, and it doesn't seem like it's ever really going to stop. So we're ready for a break. Basically, we're not like ending the band. We're family members, so we're still going to be cool with each other. We're just going to kind of go off and do our own thing for a while. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, like 5 or 6 years. And I was just like, that's so funny to have come from so much money to just be like, I'm so tired. We've been a band for so long. Plug in. It's like, dude, you guys have been out for 5 years, and both your albums have been world dominating albums. What the fuck?
I mean, I guess it's a good it's a good reason, not a good reason. It's good that they got out regardless of the reason, I should say. Because, like, hey, you have 2 banger-ass albums going to make you money for a long time to come. Get out and go do something else.
Well, and also, they didn't need the money. I mean, they were just doing this for fun. I mean, that's why it was silly, goofy stuff. Because remember, this is Berry Gordy's son, is Red Foo, the one with the afro. Berry Gordy is the founder of Motown Records. One of the, he's a rich, rich man. So these kids were and they I guess they were already like best friends with will.i.am. Because I read a little bit about their story. Like, they knew will.i.am prior. And so then when they decided to start making music, he was like, all right, cool, I'm going to put this out for you guys, basically, essentially. And so they brought it forward to the people, like the producers and stuff, and they were like, oh, this is all ready to go. Let's just put these guys out. Like, turnkey operation. And so they, just came out. We're allowed to just put out an album immediately, put out a second one. It did insanely well, and they just went, I'm bored. Let's go do something else. We're so damn rich. Who knows what they're doing now?
I don't know. I'm curious.
I'm going to guess they're party rocking.
And tonight? In the house tonight?
They're sorry about it.
Oh,
they are sorry. This was the first #1 for the group. So I will say that. Despite their first album doing really well, this was the first time they actually hit #1 on the charts. And this is the best-selling single of all time in Australia. Just randomly, for some reason, Australia loved this song. I think that's very funny.
Partying it up down there.
Dude, that's a party place, I'm guessing, huh? Third best-selling digital song in U.S. history. Which, I mean, a lot of these had like a lot of kind of records set, because again, I think people consume a lot more music more readily than they used to, And also, every time you stream it, it's counted as something, as before when it was like you had to buy the record once, and that was a record sale, This is the 7th most successful song in Billboard history, and the second best-selling song of the 2010 decade, behind Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
Also won favorite song at the 2012 Kids' Choice Awards. Oh, and here's a big fact about this song. It popularized the Melbourne Shuffle, which is the dance move. Obviously, they're referencing the song, Every Day I'm Shuffling. But you remember how big shuffling was? The dance where you just kick, stomp on the ground and twist your ankles around and stuff. And that was, it was humongous. Kids were doing that everywhere at the mall and stuff. You just see kids, little white boys with like little big old backpacks and stuff, and like.
Dude, it was kind of hard to get good at it though. And people who were. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. It was one of those things that I remember. I was a little salty about it because I was like, that doesn't look that hard or that cool. And then I would try it and be like, oh, this is really hard. Like, okay, maybe I'm a little sour grapes here because it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember it being so popular in high school. Everyone was doing it all the time with their bracelets and their
little ravers. Everybody was so excited about raving.
Mm-hmm.
This video won Best Video at TRL. The TRL Awards. So, the VMAs went to Katy Perry's Firework, but this one. Now, out of all the videos I watched this year, this one's definitely my favorite. It was actually a pretty enjoyable video. I kind of retroactively like LMFAO now for some reason. I hated them at the time. I thought it was so lame that they were popular. Now I'm like, they were just having a good time. The fact that they're rich makes it a little less cool, but, it's just funny that they just are out there doing what they want to do.
Yeah,
the
but
video,
if they weren't set up in their situation, they wouldn't have. These would have never been around. So it's just like they just happen to be good at it,
Yeah. They wouldn't have been in a position to party rock all the time if they hadn't been rich beforehand. The music video is based on 28 Days Later. And after their first big single, essentially, is like, in the video, the lore is that they went into a coma after party rocking. It says that in the beginning. Red Foo and Sky Blue went into a coma after party rocking. The next day, their single was released. And then it says 28 days later, and they wake up in the hospital, they walk out on the street, and then there's some guy who can't stop shuffling, and some other dude grabs him and is like, that song, there's a virus, and if you hear the song, you can't stop shuffling. So then they put on Beats by Dre that cancel out the noise, and they're just like walking around the streets while everyone's like all around them. And it was really funny. I actually liked the video a lot.
That's awesome. That's like it sounds like a cool video.
Oh, and the very final thing about this one. Do you remember the Kia Soul hamster commercials with this song in them?
Yes.
Those were so big, and you
Yeah.
couldn't turn on your TV without seeing those. I encourage
Yeah.
people to look up the Kia Soul hamster commercials because I thought they were going to be like, oh, this is the new Geico Gecko. You know, these hamsters are never leaving our televisions. And I remember that one big dealership in Paris had the giant hamster, the giant inflatable hamster
yeah.
outside for years and years. And then after a couple of years, I'd drive by and be like, yeah, nobody, now that just looks so random. Like, why is there a huge hamster outside?
Well, they always
You
have
don't-
monkeys and shit on top anyway of their dealerships.
that's true.
It's not like that's
Yeah.
not as random.
Those commercials, if you haven't seen them, is just like a bunch of giant hamsters all in like street clothes, like just jamming out to this song in a Kia Soul. And that was it. And it made people go like, I guess I'm buying a Kia Soul. Okay, we can
All right.
move on to number one.
Numero uno. Rolling in the Deep by Adele. Released on November 29th, 2010. In the UK, Rolling in the Deep debuted at number 2. When it released in America, it was on number 68 when it released, but then it stayed on the top of the charts for 7 straight weeks in May of 2011. Starting in May, I guess.
Yeah, it spent 65 weeks on the charts, which at the time placed it 4th in total number of weeks ever on the charts.
Damn.
This is also the biggest crossover hit in the U.S. since 1985. And I looked at 1985, so I'm assuming the one they're referencing would be Careless Whisper, because that came out that year and topped the charts, was a crossover hit. And, I mean, yeah, this is a song that is, it's not any one genre. I mean, that's sort of, it kind of is more like a lot of music in Britain, sort of seems like it kind of is a little bit more like just a piano and just a guitar and stuff like that. Like Sam Smith is sort of similar to her in a way where it's sort of like a timeless songwriting quality as opposed to fitting into one sort of genre. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because this one, I mean, she's described it as having like disco tinge to it and blues and sort of like people talked about it being like Americana roots rock in a lot of ways and things like that. So she really, I mean, I think that she put together a great song with this one. This being number one surprised me because I would have thought someone like you was her biggest song.
Oh.
I remember that song being huge at the time. I mean, this one was too, but like Someone Like You was one that I just remember everybody singing at karaoke and like you just hear that song all the time. I guess it's not as much of a radio friendly song, which is why it wasn't as.
I think a lot of the songs in these top songs that we're looking at and beyond are all pretty fun and upbeat songs.
Yeah, this is
I don't
definitely
think-
one of her more upbeat ones.
Yeah, so I think that's why this one resonated with people at the time, maybe. That's what they were looking for.
This one is, speaking of resonating with people, this is the longest charting release ever in Finland. For some reason, Finnish people love this song. It spent 50 weeks on the charts there. So really great international music this week for some reason. LMFAO and Adele are big internationally. The video got nominated for 7 VMAs, winning 3 of them for Best Editing, Art Direction, and Cinematography. I watched it, and it was very boring. It's just her sitting in a chair in a house, and it's sort of artsy, I guess, but I thought it was a little sparse for my taste. It got Grammys for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Short Form Music Video. And it's only the second song to ever win all 3 of those awards. The other one being 1986's We Are the World. So, yeah, biggest crossover hit since 85, and then the first person to do that since 86.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Number 1 on Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Songs of the 21st Century. Number 82 on their list of the 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. So, Rolling Stone liked this one. Oh, you know what? I forgot to listen to it. I'm bummed out about that. Well, maybe we'll do that now just for our own sake, but Aretha Franklin released a cover version of this song in 2014, and when it charted, she became the first female and the 4th artist overall to have 100 songs that have charted on the charts.
Damn.
The other 3 being Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and James Brown. I was kind of shocked that Jay-Z and Lil Wayne have had 100 songs chart.
Yeah.
I
Lil
mean,
Wayne makes more sense, I think, than Jay-Z,
but even then, it still is like, man, 100 songs. Aretha Franklin and James Brown, have been in the game for a million years, so
Yeah.
it makes sense. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna put up this Aretha version of "Rolling in the Deep" real quick.
We could have had it all, rolling in the deep.
By the deep. That's what Well, all right. We just listened to a little bit of that
What do you
Aretha
think?
Franklin version. I mean, the verses seem pretty chopped up and spliced together. A bit of auto tuning going on there. She was an older woman at this time, so the fact that she's still able to belt it out as well as she did is cool.
yeah. I think she did pretty good. I like her version of it, even if her vocals aren't there 100%.
Yeah, the melody lines that she's taking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's cool that it did feel like, oh, that's an Aretha move right there that she did.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you could tell where she would have dirtied up the song in her own way in a cool fashion. Last thing actually I have to say about this song is the best cover version of it is seen in the 2016 film Skip Trace, starring Johnny Knoxville and Jackie Chan.
I've never seen.
I know it was a weird under the radar movie. Two of my favorite guys, so I had to check it out. It's not very good, unfortunately, but one of the best parts is Jackie Chan is very drunk, and they're like they're like in a village somewhere in the wilderness, sort of, and they're drinking and with the tribe of people there or whatever, and then he starts singing "Rolling in the Deep" very drunkenly, and then everyone else joins in, and he's surprised to see these tribes people all know this song because it's so popular or whatever. But when he's singing it drunkenly, it is so fucking funny. Just hearing him, his version of the lyrics is very funny to me. I watched it so many times over and over again. Okay, that's it for the top 5 tracks on this list.
All right.
Well, we get into the rest of the music a little bit here, and one thing I do want to say just off the top is that the song "We Found Love" by Rihanna has spent 8 weeks at the tops of the charts. So it was the longest reigning single of the year. But not in the top 5, not in the top 10, surprisingly, all the way down at number 69 for the year. I don't know how that happened. I don't understand how that works.
Weird.
That,
I don't know.
topped the charts for 8 weeks, but still didn't even get near the top of the year-end list. Yeah, it made me really question how these numbers work. If I thought I had a decent understanding of it, but that made me really go, okay, I mean, I guess I can understand other songs spent more weeks at number, like how do I guess you had to be number 2 for like 12 weeks maybe would get you more numbers, or like "We Found Love" spent 8 weeks at the top and then just disappeared from the charts. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought that was weird. We have some very big debuts for the year of 2011 in the music world. I think up top, just one of the biggest ones is Kendrick Lamar came out. Obviously, will go on to be very important for years to come, as well as, at the time, his good buddy, J. Cole, and Childish Gambino, as well as Mac Miller and Schoolboy Q, all came out this year with either their first debut EPs or studio albums. You also had the debut of Ed Sheeran and Imagine Dragons, AWOL Nation, and Foster the People, Death Grips. But Ed Sheeran, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, all insanely huge artists, But I was surprised to see that they didn't chart. Like "Work Out" by J. Cole was one of his first songs. The other people didn't really have things that were like extremely well known, but "Work Out" is such a huge song that I'm surprised it wasn't on the end of the year Hot 100.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't either. I didn't know it wasn't.
I think the two that surprised me a little bit more though that didn't make the end of the year list were "Sail" by AWOL Nation. So I thought that would fucking be number 1, man. That song was all you ever heard in that year. Sail,
Yeah.
That shit was crazy popular, and it didn't hit the end of the year Hot 100. The other one that I was surprised about was "Little Talks" by Monsters and Men. That one that's like, it's like the man and the woman singing. They're like Icelandic or something like that. It's kind of folksy, and it's like, so this ship may carry all ships will bear all bodies safe to shore.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know. Blondie was still coming out with music.
You know, that was actually, it's funny that you'd mentioned that because I, this morning, realized I didn't think about what t shirt I was going to wear today. So I was like, I think Blondie had an album in 2011. I never listened to it. So I listened to it this morning. And actually, it's not bad. I just kind of, anytime an artist that's been out for a very long time comes out with an album, I'm like, what are you doing still making music? Hang it up, Blondie. You know? And that's just my automatic thought whenever I see something like that. Because she was like in her 60s at this point. So I listened to it this morning, and actually I was like pleasantly surprised by it. I was like, I don't know why I like Blondie as a band. I just think now that they're older, they don't have anything that I'm going to want to hear from them, or I don't respect what they have to say anymore.
Yeah, things change, it's for sure. Like their way of music or whatever, or they're trying to do the same thing over and over again. But if they're just genuinely doing it, then it still is good, I think.
And that was the interesting thing is Blondie is a band that has always had their own sound. I mean, they're not really a band that's like super new wave or very punk rock or anything. They kind of just do their own deal, and they've sort of maintained that same level of sound. It's just like old school new wave with like newer production. So I kind of liked it actually, which did surprise me. I was kind of going into it being like, I guess I got to listen to this album. I got the Blondie shirt, so that's what I'm doing this week. The couple that I always put some funny songs towards the bottom of the list, and there's the Ukulele album from Eddie Vedder, which is if you're, an Eddie Vedder fan, if you like Pearl Jam, it's an interesting little artifact to check out. I'm not crazy about Pearl Jam, but, thought I'd throw it out there for people to see. But you also have an album from Seth MacFarlane, better known as the voice of Peter Griffin, as well as a blues album from Hugh Laurie. I put that one on there for you. I know you like Dr. House.
Yeah, I've listened to this album before, too, before this...
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Year of research, and he's really good. Yeah, I didn't listen to Seth MacFarlane. I don't think I've listened to it. He just came out with a new album too, though. But it's all Frank Sinatra's unrecorded, unreleased stuff.
He's great, man. I mean, his Christmas stuff is really good. I haven't listened to a ton of his other stuff.
This is big for country, huh? Around this time,
Yes.
Brad Paisley, Rodney Atkins, Luke Bryant, Zach Brown, Jake
Kenny
Owen,
Chesney,
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
When she was still a country artist. Right?
Oh yeah, tons and tons of country this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there were just a handful of years because we've looked at a few other charts from around this time, and there's always a good amount of country. I feel like this year is kind of more than most, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shall we now turn our attention to the movies?
The cinema.
Let's hop on down, get our tickets, get in line. Do you think you were buying tickets online in 2011, or was it
Fandango, baby?
Yeah?
Yeah, that's when Fandango was popular.
Yeah, there you go.
It was around this time.
Let's get on Fandango and see if there's any tickets to the #1 movie in the country.
Which is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
This movie was released on July 15th of 2011, directed by David Yates, screenplay by Steve Kloves off of based on the book, of course, by J.K. Rowling. This film stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Michael Gambon, and Ralph Fiennes. Rafe Fiennes. It's a weird name. Both of those are spelled wrong. Ralph. It should be Ralph
All these English
Fiennes.
people.
This film had a $125 million budget, but it got it all back in the first weekend. It grossed $169 million in the opening weekend, which was then record-breaking. Went on to make $381 million domestically in the calendar year.
Jeez.
Wildly popular. People were excited to see the conclusion of this series. And it was kind of cool because it's like this was finite. It's not like other movie series where you're like, well, maybe they'll do more Star Warses in 10 years or whatever. But, I mean, of course, they would go on to do different Harry Potter stuff, but that story that they were telling had a beginning and an end, and this was the ending of it,
Yes.
And so many people grew up with it. And you were graduating high school this year. Do you remember how old you were when the first one came out?
Well, 2001, so I was 9. So it took about 10 years for them to release all 8 movies, I guess.
So yeah, you went from being a little kid to being a full-grown adult while these movies are on the air. I unfortunately didn't watch them.
Pretty much growing up alongside these characters.
Yeah. Did you watch them as they were coming out?
Mm-hmm. I watched them pretty much every single year as they came out.
That seems so cool. I really wish I had been able to do that. I was not. I was one of the children not allowed to watch Harry Potter things, unfortunately. So I didn't get into it until years later. And it's like I love fantasy stuff, and I really, really love the first couple movies. I've seen the first one a bunch. This one, I gotta say, is my least favorite Harry Potter movie. I don't love this one. It's okay. It's just sort of a lot of long walking around stuff. I really always appreciate the cool, seeing all the cool shit that they do in the wizard world.
Well, I feel like the first part of this movie was like that. You want to read the synopsis?
Yes, I got the synopsis today off of HarryPotter.com. In part 2 of the epic finale, the battle between the good and evil forces of the wizarding world escalate into an all-out war. The stakes have never been higher and no one is safe, but it is Harry Potter who may be called upon to make the ultimate sacrifice as he draws closer to the climactic showdown with Lord Voldemort. It all ends here. Like I said, a culmination of 10 years of movie making. I like how it's the synopsis says that he draws closer to the climactic showdown. It's like, I think you can go ahead and say that's in this one.
Yeah. There's no building up to it anymore.
Yeah, we're done building.
I've only read a couple of these books, and it was pretty much like the first one, the middle one, and this one.
Oh, okay.
I read the first one. I read
Goblet of Fire.
Order,
and that's like
Order of the Phoenix. No, the Goblet of Fire. Sorry, it was
that's like
Fire.
the most popular one I think for people to read. The people say
Yeah.
the book is amazing. It's a lot better than the movie of that one.
And then I read this one. Part of I don't know. The book was obviously better, but I think that this would be a better movie if the Voldemort character had played more of what it was like in the book, because he was a lot like didn't get outraged, wouldn't yell, didn't scream, wasn't, and like he was very like soft spoken but still like intimidating, because he was just he was like void of emotion basically. This was what made him like a scarier character, and I don't think that this portrays it very well in either of these last two movies, because I watched both of them.
Yeah, I did too.
That was part of why I didn't love this one, but I don't know. And then there was a lot more deaths in the books.
Oh,
okay. A
okay.
lot more like tragedy.
Yeah, this one's extremely dark. I think it's weird.
The books were extremely dark. A lot of people died in the books.
I think it's a weird choice to make. I understand that she was aging up the novels as her audience grew, because essentially in her mind she's writing to kids who are the same age as Harry Potter. This is for when you're reading the first book, you should be 11, and then when you're reading the last one, you should be 18 or whatever. But that's not the way that everybody else, just because we were fit perfectly in that age group, it's like you can't give a kid the first book, which is like this children's novel that's all fancy and fun and cute, and then also have them read the last one in that same thing where it's like super depressing. You know what I mean? I mean, you can obviously or whatever, but I just think it's a weird tonal shift to thrust upon a child.
It's a good point.
If you're like 7 or whatever, you can totally read the first book without any issues. I mean, it gets a little scary at the end, but it's not that bad. But then the last one, it's like death on every other page. There's like an orphaned child in the book that they were like, that's too dark. We can't show it on screen.
Yeah. When Dobby died, that was sad.
That was really sad. I
know. I think that was the first movie, but
as when you look at it from a writing perspective, I think the idea of killing off characters it's cheap to me. It's an easy way to evoke emotion very quickly. And as a writer, all you're doing is just writing this person died. I mean, it's like, you have to I'm killing off my character, but your story is being told anyway. They don't get to live on past the end of the story no matter what. The story's told, So as a writer, you're just going, and she did say that when she was writing this book, she talked about the characters that she was going to kill off, and she'd said she always knew Hagrid made sense as a character to kill off. But when she started the series, she started it with him carrying Harry to Privet Drive, and she wanted to end it with him carrying his dead body to Hogwarts. Like, she had that image in her mind, so she knew she couldn't kill him off for that reason. But then that just proves that she's just looking for reasons to kill people off. And from a writing standpoint, it's not like, this character's arc was written and there's no other way for this to end, and like the natural conclusion is this. She's just going, okay, who can I kill off? Well, not Hagrid. He has to do this thing. Well, let me just. So then that's why she decided to kill off Remus Lupin and his wife, and then leave the orphan child.
Well, when you write these stories for so long, like when she wrote the first one, the second one, and he has to like stab the book. He stabs the book with the tooth. Mm-hmm. She probably didn't have these whole Horcrux things thought out at that point. Right. She probably went off of that idea And that's just kind of what you do. It's like you gather the story as it comes to you or as you go along. And it's like,
Yeah.
I guess organically, it would make sense to kill people off. But you're right. I don't think that she should be killing people off just to kill them off for the sake of the story, like for the sake of an off factor.
Yeah, I think that as a writer, you should get to the point where like, oh shit, I have to kill Hagrid. Fuck, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh man, there's no other way out of this. That's the way it has to go. You know, instead of just
Yeah.
being like, okay, well, there's a big battle, and then after the battle, we find the dead bodies of who? Let's see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it's stakes raising and whatever. It's just like putting a Chekhov's gun on the table. You know, there's things you do in stories to automatically up the stakes, but you know, it's just oftentimes they don't hit me emotionally when I can see it as just being something that's like for that reason. So
Yeah.
but let's see here. Let's talk about the movie and some of the interesting behind the scenes things here. This is the shortest movie in the franchise, which actually is surprising because it feels like a longer one to me. Like if I had to
Yeah.
guess, I would have thought this would have been one of the longer ones. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is surprising too that that's the shortest of these films.
Yeah. Makes sense
Long movies.
to me because I know that they're all like 3 hours.
They really don't feel that long to me, I guess, is the cool thing about them. Especially the first like 5 or so. I just think they're so, you know, you just get lost in the world and like I forget that I'm in like the same I'll be watching Chamber of Secrets and be like, oh yeah, all that shit happened at the beginning of the movie is still in play in the story. Like I'm just focused on whatever they're doing right now, you know?
I think it's cool that Snape ended up being like a good guy. Essentially.
Yeah, I guess that was something I actually talked to my wife about that because I asked her, like, as a reader, because I mean, even just watching and seeing the previews for the movies and stuff, it's like if Snape's a bad guy, then that's just like bad. That's like so on the nose writing. It's like obviously he's going to be a good guy at some point, right? Like, so then when the big reveal at the end is like, oh, he's actually is bad. Like he kills Dumbledore, and you're like, fuck, I guess he's actually a bad guy the whole time. Like that was more shocking to me. Then when it was revealed, oh, he was really working with Dumbledore. And I was like, I kind of saw that coming, but I guess I didn't have the revelation that apparently the big thing for the readers of this and the people who grew up watching it was the revelation between the relationship of him and Lily. Like that was the
Yeah.
thing that people were like, oh, he fucking loved Lily, and that makes it all make more sense now, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And yeah, the back and forth of it because he doesn't trust him, he trusts him, and he doesn't try. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of you go along that ride too with Harry, pretty much.
Yeah, I just though at the end when it's like, oh, and he was really working for Voldemort. It's like, yeah, duh. He's dressed in all black and has black hair and talks like an evil wizard, and he's the leader of Slytherin. Like it's so obvious that he's bad. And then for him to be, oh, actually he was good. It's like that's also obvious. So, but I didn't realize that the big like reveal is like, oh, he's in love with Harry's mom. Mm-hmm. And then looking at it from that aspect, I guess that kind of opened up the story in a way. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that would be pretty fucking rough to just be like, yep, this woman didn't love me. She loved my bully. And this is his kid, you know. So I love the Lily part of this kid, but I hate the whatever his dad's name was.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see some of the interesting little casting choices here. Emma Thompson, who had been in the series up until this point, was almost unable to return to be in this one because of her involvement in the film Nanny McPhee Returns. I think it's a funny film to have precluded you from almost being in one of the biggest movies ever. Like, fuck, I really wish I could be in the Harry Potter finale, but I got to be in Nanny McPhee too. But she ended up being able to come back like the last days of filming, so she was able to be in the movie a little bit. But she only came in on days when Helena Bonham Carter was not on set. She plays Bellatrix Lestrange. So I was like, that's all it said in the little factoid, so I had to get in there and read about it. Apparently, Emma Thompson used to be married to Kenneth Branagh, who actually plays Gilderoy Lockhart in these movies. So all three of them are in these movies. They used to be married, and then while filming Frankenstein, Helena Bonham Carter and Kenneth Branagh had an affair, which led to Emma Thompson and he getting a divorce. So she kind of split up their relationship.
Damn.
And then they were together for like 5 years before they split up. And then she married Tim Burton, of course. So, and, you know, I read some things saying Emma Thompson said, oh, it's all, I think the quote said, she said it was blood under the bridge, which I'm like, that sounds like water under the bridge. Sounds like, oh, it's nothing. Blood under the bridge sounds like, it still seems a little bit sinister. But, so she was saying, yeah, we've made up and I've forgiven her and stuff like that. But apparently they didn't film their scenes on the same day. They couldn't be in the same room together, apparently. I don't blame her, but.
Well, she really wasn't in that movie very much, right? Emma Thompson.
In this, no, she's not. I mean, apparently because she didn't have the time, you know. So I'm sure she would have been involved in more of the last battles and stuff like that had they. She's a really big actress. I always think it's weird that she plays such a small role in these movies. You know?
Yeah, the teacher.
Yeah, she's very barely in it. Speaking of really big actresses who were almost barely in this movie, Kate Winslet was reportedly offered the role of Helena Ravenclaw. Also, speaking of Helenas, she was considered and actually offered the role, but her agents turned it down for her before she got the chance to look at the offer or whatever, because they thought she wouldn't want to, quote, follow suit with every other actor in Britain by being a part of the Harry Potter series.
What did she think of it?
I don't know. I didn't see her reaction to it, but I mean, I kind of would be pretty pissed off regardless. I'd be like, let me make that decision. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I think that they were just basically like, look, for your image, you don't want to just be the other person involved in these movies. I don't know. I don't think it would have been a huge issue.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think anybody would have hold it against her, you know?
Right. Yeah. Like this, like anyone's going like, you know, you don't go fucking, oh, Emma Thompson. Yeah. She was in Harry Potter. Like, yeah, good for her. You know, that's a really dumb decision.
Would
on
you have
Kate.
not been if you had
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah. Really weird. You know what management company didn't drop the ball, though, is Willow Personnel Management, owned by Warwick Davis. He actually supplies all of the little people that they use in these film franchises.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so the little people who played the goblins at Gringotts all came from his personal management company.
That's cool that he does that for people.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, he's helping little people get work, which is, I mean, you know, he's the only working little person really. Anytime you need a little person, to use Warwick Davis for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, since the days of Star Wars, he's been one of the little people in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he plays Grip Hook in this movie. He's in this one very prominently. Before that, he played Flitwick, right, the professor who teaches them how to Leviosa. But Grip Hook in the first movie was actually not played by him, and I didn't realize that because they look so similar under all the makeup. But in the very first movie, Vern Troyer actually plays Grip Hook, who plays Mini-Me from the Austin Powers series. Yeah.
But he passed away at this point, right?
Yeah, so then he had to take over. But Warwick Davis actually provided the voice for Grip Hook in the first film. So even though Vern Troyer's under the makeup, it's still the same voice, which is why he still sounds the same. And that actually surprised me, too, to learn Vern Troyer was in it because of the fact that this film franchise is very famous for not including American actors. So he's one of the few American actors who have been in the franchise, actually. I looked it up. I think there have been like 3. Christopher Columbus's daughter was in the first 2 because he directed those. And then there was one other person who was born in America but grew up in Britain. So Vern Troyer was kind of like the one American actor who made it into this film franchise.
He's essential, I guess.
Yeah, well, that being said, they didn't use his voice, so, you know.
Yeah.
They ended up being able to replace him without anybody noticing, so, oh well. Speaking of makeup, talking about Vern Troyer and Grip Hook, the epilogue was reshot with different makeup because originally the makeup they had put on them was too distracting. Like they had heavier old age makeup on them when they show up to the train station at the end. And I thought they all looked so funny.
Yeah, they did.
For such an expensive, important movie for so many people, that scene is so bad. Like they look silly, you know? They don't really look like they're older necessarily. They look like little kids dressed up as old people. It's funny.
And then when he says his name, I'm like, oh, it's so embarrassing. Is it Severus Dumbledore Potter or something like that?
Is it Albus Severus Potter?
Yeah,
I think so.
I was like, oh, like the cringe.
You know, actually, I think it was pretty crazy though that they are, because the epilogue, it says how many years later it is. Now I can't remember, but I think it might be 18 years later. It's something like that. But we're getting close now. Like I think the math of it was like 3 years. In 3 years, they'll be the age that they were in that. From 3 to 5 years, they'll be the age that they were supposed to be in the epilogue. So, you know, pretty quickly we'll see if that was accurate or not.
Well, I mean, they all look pretty good still.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they're only in their mid-30s.
Right. Yeah. So it is kind of funny that they sort of look like.
They're in their 40s.
Yeah, really, that is what they look like little kids dressed up as being in their 40s. It seems funny. Also, they're all very slight people. You know, it's like you hire little kids, and basically kids are all the same size, and then Harry Potter just stops growing at a certain point. You know, you're like,
Yeah. Mhm.
he's a little dude, so it's just funny to see him dressed up as an old man because he just looks more like a kid than say Rupert Grint, who looks a little bit older at that point. You know?
Yeah, who's tall and like filled out as a man.
Yeah.
How old was Radcliffe when this movie was made? 2 years he was born.
I would guess 89 would be my guess.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I'd say he's definitely older than Kyrie Irving. Would be my
89,
guess.
July
Okay.
23rd, 89. Yeah.
That is actually I just said that as a joke, but if you take a picture of Kyrie Irving and put him next to Daniel Radcliffe, it's so fucking insane to me that Daniel Radcliffe is older by a couple of years. That's really weird to me that he's 3 years older than Kyrie, you know, or 2 years older than Kawhi Leonard. Like he just, I don't know, doesn't strike me as the same level of adult as them. They, you know, this movie, to speak on the level of detail that they added to this movie, because that is the cool thing about these films. They made 210,000 individual coins for the Gringotts vaults,
Holy shit.
and each wand was made unique for each individual actor. No two wands were ever created the same. They each were within ranges specified by the book, but every single wand was a different wand, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, so they still are putting a lot of effort into, you know, creating magic for people. So overall, I would say, having not grown up with it, I think growing up with it, this would be this big satisfying conclusion. And, you know, years of watching it, and now I'm an adult, I'm filled with angst. So I'd like to see a dark, angsty movie. I'm sure this would have been great. It's a little harder now to have come back and just be like, oh, I found this franchise that's this wonderful, fanciful, you know, children's story. And then by the end of it, be like, man, I'm sad, you know?
Yeah.
So it doesn't resonate as hard with me as I'm sure it did with everybody who grew up watching these.
Well, what do you think that this deserves, since you don't you have a different perspective than I do?
Out of 2011, what are we gonna say? Out of 2011, trying to come up with a fun reference from this movie.
It's not a fun movie.
Yeah. out of 2011 Dead Owls, how many? How many we've given this? I'm going to go ahead and say 1,700 owls is my vote. I do like it. I think it's a well-made movie. It's just not. It's the one I revisit the least for sure. I've seen this movie like maybe 2 or 3 times, as opposed to the first one I've seen maybe 5, 6 times. You know.
This is not my favorite Harry Potter movie, but like you said, it was a satisfying conclusion to the 10 years leading up to it, watching it and following it. But after watching it again, I'm going to give it 1,811 Dead Owls.
It's a good score. Okay, they ended the Harry Potter franchise in 2011, and another big book franchise was about mystical creatures was about to start ending this year as well. Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 came out this year and was a huge deal. So a similar type of thing. People had grown up watching these, and I think the first one probably came out when we were like 14 maybe. So I mean it hadn't been as long, but it was a long, it was high school for so many girls that we grew up with.
4 or 5 year chunk people are dedicated to it, you know?
Yeah. So I mean I know my girlfriend at the time was super into these books, and that's another franchise. I really enjoy the first Twilight. I've seen that movie a bunch of times, but the rest of them are not good at all, and I really can't stand them, and this one is pretty bad. At this point, they started... I know people really hate on these movies. At this point, they're legitimately bad. But the first one, I think, is still good. I like it. Let's see. Have you seen any of these big wave makers? I don't know what word I'm looking for. Any of these big old fucking blockbusters? Not really blockbusters, but... These movies were important in the day. We had The Help, Lincoln Lawyer, Drive, Moneyball, The Descendants, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Did you see any of those?
Moneyball.
I like Drive a lot.
I've seen Drive. What was the first
That
one
was
you said?
The Help, Lincoln Lawyer,
Help.
Drive,
I've seen The
Moneyball,
Help.
Descendants. I've never seen The Help.
That's
I
a
remember
good
that
one.
being one that I feel like I should have watched it at the time. I mean, everyone was talking about it constantly, and it was like, this seems like a movie that everyone is saying, this is what we're all watching this year, and I just didn't end
How
up seeing it.
about, I think Limitless can be on that list too.
Yeah, I almost included it there. I actually had it right underneath. Limitless and Super 8, I kind of feel like both were very popular that year.
I still have not seen Super 8, and I wanted to watch it this week, and I didn't.
I watched it not too long ago. It's okay. It's not as I was kind of
Okay.
expecting more from it, but it's okay. I think if you like Stranger Things, it might be a little disappointing because I think it's very similar and Stranger Things is better. But
Gotcha. A lot of middle of the road kind of like movies, as in like middle of the franchises, I should say.
oh yeah,
Kind of
yeah, a
movies
lot of action.
came out.
A lot of
Yeah.
action franchises in full swing at this point.
Yeah, so Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides, Kung Fu Panda 2, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, The Hangover 2, Cars 2, Captain America, Thor, X-Men First Class, Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I guess that's a start of the
I
their
can never remember the
franchise.
order of those.
But I think
Is it
that's a
Dawn or
start.
is it Rise? I don't know.
I think that's the start of their franchise, but still a lot of like full swing.
But also, I mean, this
franchises
is
right now.
a franchise that's been around for 60 years being rebooted. So
Yeah.
another movie that fits in that same sort of category as it was based on an existing property is The Green Lantern. Came out in 2011 and was a gigantic box office bomb. Remember that shit? People hated that
Yes.
movie.
I didn't go see it either.
I saw it. I mean, he had like the big thing people complained about was that he had like a digital suit. You know, it was Ryan Reynolds' face on top of like he would just wore green screen like spandex, and then they put the suit onto him after the fact. So it looked really shitty, especially back then. But it's not that different than how they make movies now. you know?
Yeah, they gotta have those precursors. Gotta have some bombs before you can have some fireworks.
That's a good one. This week I watched, because like so many of these types of, the superhero thing was just so big at the time. There was a lot of that kind of, I Am Number 4 was a movie like that, and Cowboys and Aliens, Green Hornet, Sucker Punch. But I watched Real Steel this week to prep. It's the one with
Okay.
Hugh Jackman and the robot fights.
Wasn't
I
it?
didn't-
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't love it.
Adam. I remember
Yeah,
that
yeah.
movie.
You know, you got Zookeeper, and we bought a zoo. Hey, it's a good thing we bought a zoo. We got the Zookeeper around because we just bought a zoo. You know, you got No Strings Attached and Friends with Benefits. Those two movies that were exactly the same that came out the same year somehow. That was so weird. You remember that? It was about like, well, No Strings Attached, Friends with Benefits. They were just
Yeah.
the Natalie
exact same
Portman
thing.
and then there was Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's funny. But overall this year, I'll say Insidious was a great, probably my favorite horror movie of the year.
yeah.
Harold and Kumar Christmas also came out this year.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I watched that in theaters with my older sister, which, if you know my older sister, that's really weird that she was like, do you want to
Willing
go
to
see
do
Harold
that.
and Kumar? Yeah, like, I think she wanted to see it because it was a Christmas movie. She likes that, and she likes me. We're friends. So she was like, hey, you like Harold and Kumar? I'll go see this with you. And it was in 3D. Very funny to have seen that with her. It's not the best Harold and Kumar movie, but I love those guys. Okie dokie, let's go ahead and finish up the year 2011. And, you're a fresh graduate now. You got to get out there and get to work, unfortunately. That's your lot in life now that you're done with high school. But the last thing we got to do before we can fully finish the year off is decide what we're keeping, what we're bringing with us to the current day and age, and everything else goes away. I already know what I'm taking. I think if you were listening carefully, it's probably not that hard to guess, but I am going to save Workaholics. Like I said, probably my favorite. I mean, there's a couple other shows that might be my favorites, but I mean, this is, for the time, it was so perfect in my life, hit me perfectly. I still watch it constantly, and it's a great show.
One thing that I want to keep is Bob's Burgers.
Good one.
And I know we're keeping 2 shows, and it's not usually something that we do, but it's all you guys get. You don't guys get any music or anything.
I'm not too upset about losing any music from this year or the movies, to be honest. There wasn't anything that was that amazing.
Maybe the Doritos Locos Taco.
Yeah, at least it was only in test markets, so we just have to hope that they decide to just go through with it without testing it first.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wait and see once we get back.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's still there, but it's, you know what? I'm going to be thinking if we show up in 2026 and this taco's not around anymore, I'm going to look back at 2011. I'll be thinking to myself that we wish we were then.